Repeat the oath. Say it, or you can never leave this room.
The night smelled of burning candles and something else, something bitter that made Amara's stomach turn. She pressed her back against the cold wall of the abandoned school hostel block, her heart hammering so loud she was sure they could hear it. Through the crack in the door, she watched. Her lips moved silently in prayer, the only weapon she had brought with her. But let me tell you how it all began. Queen's Girls Secondary School sat on the edge of Enugu town like a proud elder. Red brick buildings, a dusty sports field, and the constant noise of 600 girls finding their way through adolescence. It was the kind of school where your reputation followed you from GS1 all the way to final exams. Chisomobi arrived in SS1 on transfer from Lagos and rearranged everything. She was tall, light-skinned, with box braids that always looked fresh and a smile that teachers described as charming. Within 3 weeks, she had the best desk by the window, the loyalty of 6 girls, and a nickname, the Crown. Nobody gave it to her. She simply started using it, and everyone followed. Amara Eze arrived that same term. She was quiet, wore her school uniform like it mattered, and spent lunch breaks reading her Bible under the mango tree by the chapel. Some girls called her Holy Holy behind her back. Amara heard it. She didn't mind. The two of them existed in different orbits. Chisom ruled the hostels. Amara kept to herself. But their paths crossed in one place, biology class, where they sat 2 rows apart, and Mrs. Nadi always asked the hardest questions. Chisom was sharp with answers. Amara was sharper, and Chisom noticed. "You think you are better than everyone," Chisom told her one afternoon, not in anger, but in the way you state a fact. "I think I want to pass my exams," Amara replied, and went back to her notes. That was the first thread pulled loose. Chisom began recruiting quietly, not loud girls, not troublemakers. She wanted the ones who were afraid of failing, afraid of being nobody, afraid of going home with bad results and facing disappointed parents. Girls like Tochi, whose father had threatened to withdraw her fees, like Ngozi, who had failed mathematics twice and was running out of chances, like Ebele, who wanted desperately to belong somewhere. She told them she had something that would help them. Power, she called it. Not the kind teachers give you, she said, the real kind. It started with small things. Chisom would gather her group after lights out. Candles. A shared secret. A strange symbol she drew in the back of their notebooks with red pen. She said it was just for protection. Rich people do this, she said. People who succeed, they all belong to something. Tochi came to class the next week with a confidence that hadn't been there before. She answered questions she would normally avoid. She stopped flinching when teachers called her name. Whether it was Chisom's ritual or simply the belonging that came from having a group, something had shifted in her. Word spread in whispers. Girls began approaching Chisom. She was selective. She turned away 3 before accepting 2. The exclusivity made it more desirable. The secrecy made it feel important. Amara began to notice things, not because she was looking, but because she prayed with open eyes. She noticed that Tochi, who used to study with her on Wednesday evenings, stopped coming without explanation. She noticed Ngozi wincing when she tied her school tie, as if something on her wrist hurt. She noticed that a group of girls always went somewhere together on Friday nights, and they came back with sand on their shoes and something dim in their eyes. She asked Ebele directly one day, "Where do you all go on Friday nights?" Ebele's face changed fast. "Nowhere, we just take walks." She left before Amara could ask another question. That evening, Amara prayed longer than usual. She didn't know what she was praying against. She just knew something was wrong, the way a person knows rain is coming before any cloud appears. Then, Chisom came for her. "I want you to join us," Chisom said, appearing at Amara's corner of the library. She sat uninvited and leaned close. You are smart, too smart to waste sitting here alone. We can make sure you top every exam, scholarships, connections. There are people who can open doors for you that your Bible cannot. Amara looked at her for a long time. What do you want in return? Just loyalty, just to belong. To what? Chisom smiled. You'll see when you're inside. No thank you, Amara said, and returned to her book. Chisom stood. For just a moment, the smile slipped. What replaced it was not anger, it was something colder. You'll regret staying on the outside, she said softly, and walked away. That night, Amara found a dead lizard on her pillow. It was a bele who cracked. 3 weeks after the lizard, Amara heard soft crying from the bathroom at 2 a.m. She found a bele hunched over the sink, staring at her own reflection like she didn't recognize it. There were marks on her forearm, thin, deliberate lines, the kind made by something sharp and intentional. Ebele! Amara touched her shoulder. Ebele spun around, terrified. Then she collapsed. Not physically, but she folded like a building that had been hollow all along. I want to leave, she whispered. But she said if any of us leave, something bad will happen to our families. She said she has connections. She said she knows people outside the school. How many of you are there? 7 now. She's planning to initiate 3 more next Friday. She said the group needs to grow before we finish SS2 or it doesn't count. Count for what? Ebele shook her head. She didn't know, or she couldn't say. Either way, her hands were shaking. Amara made a decision. Friday night, she followed them. She had told nobody, not yet. She wanted to see with her own eyes what she would be reporting. She tracked them across the backfield, past the generator house, to the old hostel block that had been closed since the flooding 3 years ago. She slipped in through a side window left ajar. What she saw stopped her breath. The 7 girls knelt in a circle on the concrete floor. 3 new girls stood at the edge, trembling. Chisom stood at the center holding a candle in one hand and a piece of paper in the other. On the floor, there was a symbol drawn in what looked like red paint or something Amara refused to name. Repeat the oath, Chisom said, her voice practiced and low. Say it, or you can never leave this room. One of the new girls was crying. Chisom's expression did not change. Amara stepped forward from the shadow. Chisom. The room froze. Chisom turned. For the first time since Amara had known her, the composure cracked, just for a second, like glass struck but not yet fallen. You don't belong here, Chisom said. Neither do they, Amara said, looking at the kneeling girls. And deep down, you know that. Get out before you what? Amara's voice was steady. Chisom, this is a school, not a shrine. These are your classmates. Whatever you think this is giving you, it is not worth what it is costing them. The silence that followed was the kind that changes things. Tochi was the first to stand up. Then Ogozi. One by one, the kneeling girls rose. The 3 new ones stepped back toward the door. Chisom looked around at the circle dissolving, and something in her face shifted. The mask, finally, fully off. What was underneath was not evil. It was a frightened 16-year-old girl who had been shown this thing by an older cousin in Lagos and told it was power, and who had believed it because she had nothing else that felt like control. She sat down on the floor and put her face in her hands. Amara did not go to the teachers that night. She went to the school's female chaplain, Sister Ngozi Adana, a woman who had seen enough of the world to respond without panic. Sister Ngozi Adana gathered the girls quietly the next morning, all 10 of them, including Chisom, and did not shout or condemn. She listened. Chisom spoke last. She talked about Lagos, about her cousin, about coming to a new school with no friends and feeling invisible, and someone telling her that belonging to something secret made you powerful. She talked about how the first meetings felt exciting and then gradually started feeling wrong. But by then, she was already in, and had already brought others in and didn't know how to stop. "You were afraid," Sister Ngozi Adana said, "and fear is not a reason to harm others, but it helps us understand how harm begins." The school management was informed. The matter was handled carefully. No public announcement, but no pretending it had not happened either. Parents were called. Chisom was suspended for 2 weeks. When she returned, she was assigned to the chaplaincy office as part of her restoration. Not punishment, but redirection. The marks on Ebele's arms healed. She started seeing the school counselor every Tuesday. Tochi topped her mathematics exam that term without any ritual, without any oath. Just study and the quiet confidence of a girl who had finally stopped being afraid. Chisom and Amara were not friends, not immediately, but they became something more useful, honest. Chisom stopped performing. Amara stopped being invisible. In their final term, they were paired together for a biology project and they worked in silence that gradually became something easier. On the last day of school, Chisom stopped Amara at the gate. "Why didn't you just report me that night? You could have." Amara thought about it. "Because I didn't go there to destroy you. I went there to stop what was happening." Chisom nodded slowly. "The crown I give myself," she said quietly, "was too heavy for my head." Amara looked at her. "Then leave it where it falls. You don't need it." They walked in different directions out of the gate, but both of them walked lighter than they had all year.
If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to subscribe to Mimi Stories, like this video, and share it with your friends and family. Comment down below and tell us what you think. Where are you watching from? We really would love to know. Also, have you ever seen something wrong happening around you and had the courage to speak up, even when it was risky? Tell us your story in the comments. Until next time, stay rooted, stay watchful, and remember, the loudest crown is not always the truest one. Goodbye.